Hi, this is Alexandra at Beadaholique, here to show you how to add rows of seed beads to wood beads. So here I've got the Persia pink earring that we'll be making in this video, and I want to show you a nice selection of wood beads that we have that are so bright and colorful. So they come in 3 sizes in all of these different colors. I've got some 13 millimeter, 12 millimeter, and 15 millimeter in several of these colors, and then the 12 and 15 in others. Some pretty turquoise, cream colors, browns, greens, pinks, and black. And I also have another example of a project that I did using this same technique with a focal bead on a necklace. So we'll be talking a little bit about that toward the end of the video. So for materials, what I've got here is the size 13 millimeter pink bead. We've got a kidney earring hook, a couple of fluted 6 millimeter metal beads, a 2-inch head pin, some 11-0 Miyuki round seed beads in a metallic purple gold iris, which I thought went really nicely with the pink on that bead. You'll see here I've got a couple of bead aligners, and I'm going to talk about those in a bit. And I've got some 22 gauge wire we'll be using, some 4-pound smoke FireLine, and for tools I've got some scissors, flesh cutters, round nose pliers, and chain nose pliers. I also have my loom work beading needle, which is going to come in handy for the length and the width of this. And I've pre-strung 3 feet of FireLine to start. So to begin, I'm going to take my 22 gauge artistic craft wire, and I'm going to cut 2 inches. And as you will see, this is not going to become part of our project. What I'm doing is setting us up to stabilize our bead. And to do that, I'm taking my round nose pliers and I'm going to create a simple wire loop on one end of my wire. It doesn't have to be neat or fancy, it's just going to be part of the creating process, and we're going to cut it off at the end. So let me close that tight, and we're going to take on a 6 millimeter metal bead, our wood bead, and our other 6 millimeter bead. Now these side beads are going to also serve to anchor our project while we're working. I'm going to go ahead and angle the wire off and create another simple wire loop on this side. And clip that with my flesh cutters and just give it a little tuck. Close it up. So this is our starting place, and I'm going to call these my placeholder beads. So the first thing now that we want to do to start our bead weaving is take up the loom bead weaving needle with my FireLine on it, and I'm going to go ahead and string that needle through the wood bead. You'll see I'm moving at a little bit of an angle, and that's going to help me get my needle through. So I'm going to pull that through and leave myself about a 5-inch tail, because I'll be using that toward the end to tie my knot. So before I do tie a knot, what I want to do is take on 13 of these round 11-0 seed beads. Now the loom needle also helps us take on more beads at once and to double check our count. So as I'm talking to you, I lose count and then I check myself. 5, 10, 13. Okay, so I'm going to string those down, and I'm going to bring my tail up and create a loop with my thread and tie a knot. Coming around once, getting it nice and tight, and then for added security, I'm going to make a surgeon's knot where I come around twice through that loop. Wobbling around a little here. Let's get that nice and tight. There we go. Okay, so I've got my first row of beads. And so now I'm going to send my needle back up through the wood bead, again at an angle. If you find it stiff fitting your needle through, use a pair of pliers to help you push and pull that needle through. I find sometimes that helps me. So I'm ready to add on my next row. It's going to be the same thing. I'm going to take on 13 seed beads. Okay. Come around through the other side of my wood bead and slide my needle through. Sometimes it's a little stiff getting through. You also want to watch, because these beads are hollow on the end, sometimes your needle will get sent up through that metal bead, which is also why I like to go at an angle. Use my plier to help me pull that through. And we've got 2 rows of beads. So I'm going to continue this process, and I'm going to create 12 rows going around the edge. And that's because I'll be limited by the number of beads that actually fit against each other going around the edge of the bead. And the reason that we have these stoppers on either side is to keep the seed beads from falling into the hole. So this is the method that I found works best for creating this design. So I will finish up stringing on all of my rows and then get back with you when it's time to make our final knot, and we'll move on from there. So I've finished adding on my 12th row of beads, and what I'm ready to do is get my thread up toward the tail so that I can make my knot. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to send my needle back through one of these rows of beads so that I'm doubling my thread back through, getting my thread path where it needs to go. I don't want to skip a bead. Let me make sure I get where I need to go here. This longer needle also makes it a little tedious getting through the tight spaces, but for the most part it comes in very useful. All right, so that's my last 2 beads. Get through there. And I'm ready to tie off my thread. I'm going to take my needle off so it doesn't poke me, and just take the 2 sides of my thread together and create an overhand knot. Once and twice. I'm going to bring in my scissors and make my cut. What you could also do is rethread your needle onto each side and bring this thread through the middle of your bead for added security if you'd like. Now, as an earring, I'm not too concerned about wear and tear as I would be if it were a necklace. Okay, so I've got my completed beaded bead. Now, what I want to do is show you kind of this magic trick that I have, which is I'm going to bravely cut off my wrapped wire loop, and I'm going to take my placeholder beads off the bead. Now, you can see in the instance of this necklace bead, what I've done is put one of these bead aligners in the place of where I had those round beads. And I want to demonstrate how that would be in this case. And it fits, just pops in right there. And I would do that on the other side if that's what I wanted for my design. I actually thought that I was going to do that with these earrings, and then I discovered I really liked the look of the gold beads. So I'm going to stick with the gold beads, but I just wanted to show you how these bead aligners work. It's the little central core that fits so nicely in there. But for the purposes of this design, what we'll do is we'll take up our 2-inch ball head pin, and I'm going to string back on one of the metal beads, string on my beaded bead, and take up my other metal bead, tuck those back in, and I'm ready to make my wrapped wire loop and bring my other earring in just to make sure I get them to match. So I grip with the tip of my round nose plier, angle off the top, check the size to make sure I have them matching, create my loop over the top of my plier, and bring in my other plier, and I'm going to coil around the base once and twice. Now I could have set this whole project up on the head pin, but I had just wanted to show you about the bead aligners because they do make a very nice fit in these projects too. So I've got that all set to go on my earring hook. Gonna undo that, slide my finished piece on, and I like to give this type of earring hook a squeeze at that loop just to close it up a little bit. All right. So now we have 2 Persia pink earrings and also the papyrus necklace. And these projects use this technique, which is to add rows of seed beads to wood beads. I hope you enjoyed this video. All these tools and supplies are available at Beadaholique.com, and please also subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching.